Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. I know it's been a while, but I'm here, I'm back again, this time with a really long video. Obviously, if you don't have the patience to watch an hour-long video, but you do want to help out the channel, you can always leave it playing in the background. I want to quickly mention that we are very close to 1000 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed already, but you do enjoy my content, hit that fancy subscribe button. Another thing I have to mention is that I lost some replay footage, which is being mentioned throughout this video, so I'm sorry for that. Anyways, let's get into the video. Okay, so starting off the first few days, I was planning to build a froglight farm and needed to gather a few materials. Most items I already had, but I was missing two things. One of those things is bamboo to make the scaffolding. Now I know where there is a jungle with bamboo, so I went there to get some first. When I went home, I planted some bamboo in my castle since I would need more bamboo for another farm that I will make soon. I then went to the nether roof to find a good spot for the froglight farm. There's a basalt delta right next to my gold farm, so I had the perfect spot for this farm. The last thing I now needed was frogs. I have a swamp biome pretty close to my home, so I decided to try my luck there. I have been looking for quite a while, and at some point I just gave up and decided to go find a new swamp, or a mangrove biome. I'm not surprised there were no frogs here, after all this swamp has been here since 1.19. I traveled somewhat far and eventually found a mangrove biome. I found frogs pretty fast, but they were very slow. I made this shelter at night where I would wait for a tadpole, which took a while. I was just AFK here for a little bit. Lucky me, there were exactly 2 tadpoles. I went to the desert and made a very small pond for them, and every time they were frogs, I would just give them some more slime balls until I had enough frogs. It was a little bit annoying to bring the frogs to the nether, but once they were there, it was finally time for me to start building the froglight farm. Froglight farm works pretty well. Time for another farm, which will be a shulker shell farm. For my project, I would need around 200 shulker boxes. I can of course farm them myself, but for that I would need to kill a lot of shulkers and it's just gonna take a lot of time. And time is exactly what I felt like I didn't have. Most materials I already had besides scaffolds and glowstone. It's a good thing I already set up a little bamboo farm in my castle. Another thing I didn't have was string to make the scaffolds. Now I know there's a spider farm somewhere under my sugarcane farm, so I was just there chilling in the dark until I had enough string to make the scaffolds. The last thing I really needed now was glowstone, pretty easy to get, and I'm surprised there is still some glowstone left near my portal after the ocean monument project. Anyways, I now had everything, so I went to the end. I wanted to kill the ender dragon again just for the achievement, and after that I would never respawn it again. I wanted to have as less of these flying gateways as possible since they would ruin the look of my end build, which is just gonna be a shame. The dragon fight wasn't really that special. Shoot the crystals and then shoot the dragon. One thing for sure, a elytra made this fight so much easier. I also like how the sky and the shader pack change color when the dragon is here. Like a little detail, I like it. I wish I could change the colors of the sky myself. I would have made them blue to match the end build. Anyways, I killed the dragon and went through the new gateway hoping for an end city nearby that wasn't loaded. I put my render distance to max and there was exactly a end city pretty close to the gateway and it had a ship. Not that I need more elytras, but it's still nice to find it. I went to the end city and started building the shulker farm close to it. Okay, so now that the farm was done, I went AFK for one day just to see how good it works and if I did everything right. And oh boy, this farm works better than I thought. I had almost 4 stacks of shulker shells, which should be more than enough. Next I needed some book traits, mainly sharpness and blast protection. I find it very annoying to work with villagers and it's also kinda boring, but some things just have to be done. I got the blast protection trait pretty fast, but I didn't have enough emeralds to secure the trait, so I used the sugarcane from my sugarcane farm to trade paper for emeralds until I had enough emeralds and bought myself a book. Next up was getting sharpness 5. I think it's finally time to, get a really good sword. I've been using sharpness 4 now for a while, but it's time for it to be maxed out. I got the trait after a while and bought another book. I then went to the anvil to put some books together. I also had a protection 3 book trait and bought a few books. I was stupid and didn't think, because I thought you can put blast protection with protection on one piece of armor. Of course you can, but that was a decent amount of versions back. Anyway, I did realize that my boots still had protection 3, so I gave it protection 4. I then also put sharpness 5 on my sword. Next few days I was just AFK at my froglight farm. I needed 20,000 froglights. So yeah, I have to do this once in a while. I of course can do all of this at once, but that's just gonna be boring for me, so I decided not to. This farm also works pretty well, but after 2 days I'm still not half as close to being done as I was hoping for. But it's a good start, of course. Another thing on the list that I need was stone. A lot of stone. Now, a good thing is that I transformed my ocean monument, or well, the floor of it at least. I had a lot of stone laying around the ocean monument, so I went there to collect most of it. I also needed a lot of wool, so I decided to make my sheep farm even bigger. I feel like every once in a while I just keep making the farm bigger, like at some point I just gotta stop. Anyways, I needed a few items for this farm. I pretty much had everything besides strings for the dispensers, so I had to farm a little bit for that. Besides that, most things I had the materials for, but they just needed to be crafted. I was slowly running out of redstone, but that's a worry for later. I breed some more sheep so I would have enough sheep to place in the farm, and yeah, I pretty much had everything ready to start building. Okay, well, the sheep farm is done. I needed a few different types of colored wool, so I dyed my sheep light blue, light grey and blue. I was also a little bit short on stone, so I decided to smelt some cobblestone into stone. I built a smelting place under my sheep farm so that I still get some wool, while also waiting for my items to be smelted. Smelting all the stone took quite a while, but after a decent amount of time I finally got all the needed stone. And as you can see here on the material list, it's a lot. Another thing that's high on the list of materials that I needed was tuff, andesite and deep slates. All pretty easy to farm, so that shouldn't be too big of a deal. The only problem I right now have was that my pickaxes run out of durability really fast. Another thing that's high on the material list that I needed was tuff, andesite, deep slates, all pretty easy to farm, so that shouldn't be too big of a deal, to be fair. The only problem I right now have was that my pickaxes ran out of durability really fast, and I wasn't really down to keep going to the nether to cement them, since well, I would just be losing time. And since I set a goal to finish farming before a certain day, I felt like the last thing I needed to do was play around with time. I didn't want to make my entire 2000 days video about one project, so that's why I set goals throughout this video to finish things in a certain amount of time. Now, because I didn't feel like having to mend my pickaxe every 5 days or so, I decided to make another pickaxe. I already had a half-broken pickaxe from a long time ago. Back when I didn't have mending yet, I would just make new dia pickaxes and enchant them. This was one of them. I gave it the enchant it was still missing and then went to my gold farm to mend it. I also of course mend my other tools while I was there. I then also made the diamond pickaxe into a netherite one, since I had a netherite piece laying around that I wasn't using anyway. Okay, so next few days I was just mining, and as you can see I mined a lot. So first I went for andesite. I mined andesite in the mushroom biome I found a long time ago, so that I won't have to deal with hostile mobs. So mining this first item on the list was very easy. Since this was such a repetitive thing to do, I would easily start losing focus, and well, losing focus is often the reason why people die in their hardcore worlds. Anyways, every time my pickaxes were about to break, I would just quickly go mend them at my gold farm. Of course, even with 3 netherite pickaxes, I still would be at my gold farm to mend a lot. Next up was farming deep slate. This was just an annoying one because it doesn't break as fast as the andesite and tuff, so it felt like I was going very slow. Good thing about this one is that I only needed 16,000, which isn't that bad compared to the rest. Last thing I mined was tuff. This one was also mined mainly in the mushroom biome for the same reason as mentioned before. Another nice thing about mining tuff is that it's on diamond level, so once in a while I would just find diamonds. Anyways, a few hours later I got all the tuff, stone and deep slate needed. Next on my list was blue concrete, which was kind of fun to farm and I don't know why. At first I had quite a lot of sand and gravel laying around. I also had a few flowers for blue dye, but not a lot, so I was gonna have to farm flowers very soon. But with what I had, I made blue concrete powder. During the days I would farm gravel and sand, and during the nights I would craft blue concrete powder. And when I ran out of materials, I would turn it from powder to actual concrete in this very easy converter. And I did that for a few days until I finally ran out of blue dye. Besides that, there is not much I can say about this. So since I ran out of blue dye, it was time to get flowers. But first I needed to get some bones for bone meal. Of course I built a wither skeleton farm, so getting bones is pretty easy. You mainly just spend time waiting for more wither skeletons anyway. I once built a flower farm in the meadow biome that is very far from home, and it takes one Minecraft day to travel to there, and of course also one day to travel back. Though I must say, the mountains around this biome are really pretty. Now I had a lot of bone meal and I will be here until I run out of all of it. Of course I don't want to just be here AFK, so I decided to build a small house. Like really small compared to the things I usually build. Obviously building this didn't take long, so I still spent some time here AFK sitting in the little house I built. After being here for a while I got I think 8 boxes full with blue flowers, which is definitely more than enough. I ran out of bone meal, meaning it's time for me to go home and craft the last few needed blue concrete stacks. I of course already had all the sand and gravel since I farmed that a few days ago, so now I just needed to craft it and then convert it. Talking about converting, it's time to do that for a few days. I have to make all my blue concrete powder into blue concrete, total of 27,000, so it will take me a little while. What you see right now is what I have been seeing for a few hours, and that's really it. It took me 10 days, but I'm done now. I went AFK for 2 days at my shulker shell farm again. I still needed more shulker boxes. Yes, those almost 4 stacks of shulker shells wasn't enough apparently. To be fair, with being AFK for 2 days, I got a lot of shulker shells, so now I really should have enough for this project. Okay, while I'm back at the gold farm once again mending my tools. I checked my material list and realized I forgot 2 things, so yeah, I needed my pickaxes. The 2 items I still needed were stone slabs and andesite slabs. Yeah, I don't know how I forgot about that. Mistakes happen, and after all, it's a really big material list, so I'm not surprised that I didn't see it. I first mined around my stone farming spot for a bit. There were a few spots of andesite visible, so I might as well mine that first before I start looking for more somewhere else. The good thing is that I didn't have to really look for more andesite, since I pretty much got all the andesite slabs pretty fast. The main thing I really needed a lot was stone slabs. So I went to my sheep farm and started mining out a big chunk of stone. The reason I mined here is because, well, first of all, the sheep farm will be making me more wool while I mine here, and also because I was planning on making the sheep farm a lot bigger. I had this goal to make a wool farm where I have 20 sheep of every color, so by digging this place out I was already making a little start. After a little while I got all the stone and started crafting it into stone slabs. Now I should have all the stone and andesite stuff needed. Okay, another thing I needed were a few diorite things, such as blocks, stairs and slabs. I also needed cobblestone and cobblestone slabs, plus a few other random things that I had laying around. For cobblestone stuff I of course went to the ocean monument, since I have a lot of cobblestone laying around there. When I had the first few extra items needed, I went to my froglet farm to AFK there for a little bit. Again, I'm nowhere near having all the froglights, but each time I AFK I was getting closer and closer to having all the froglights. Each time I was here I filled like 2 to 3 boxes with froglights, sometimes even 4. So yeah, I was slowly getting there. Next up is quartz. I first needed 5,000 quartz, but I eventually changed the schematic, so now I only needed like 600. Still, I didn't have that, so of course I had to farm for it. I first farmed in the nether, but didn't go as fast as I was hoping for. Now I learned that you can buy quartz from villagers, specifically stonemasons, so yeah, I decided to get some stonemasons to make it easier. Of course I didn't have much emeralds left, so I had to get some sugarcane from a sugarcane farm so I can make it into paper to trade it with the villagers. I think trading and mining quartz is definitely the best option, but I also wanted to shoot a shot at trading with a piglin. I regret that choice. It's not really successful. If anything, I would say I wasted my gold and time, so not worth it. Okay, next 2 days I was once again AFK at the froglet farm. Yeah, again, there's really nothing much I can say about this. It's just me standing there on a small glass platform high in the sky, and if I ever press my W, I'll probably fall to my death. Okay, next thing I wanted to farm was packed ice and blue ice, but first I had to mend my pickaxes, which I of course did at my gold farm. This is just the fastest way to mend in my opinion. I remember the days where I would just spend 2 days just trying to get to level 80, and man, mending tools was even more time consuming. Anyways, there is a frozen ocean really close to my home, so I went there. I must say the sky was really pretty here, gotta love the shader pack. I actually enjoyed farming packed ice and blue ice. It's really nice how you can insta-break packed ice, making farming this so much easier and faster. The only thing that was a pain to get was getting the blue ice. I didn't know you can craft blue ice with 9 pieces of packed ice, and I learned that after I farmed everything. After a few days of mining ice from the frozen ocean, I finally got all the blue ice. I only needed 2,000 more packed ice, which was really easy to farm. I would start a big project with packed ice in it just so I can farm this again because I really enjoyed it. Another thing I needed was light blue glazed terracotta and blue glazed terracotta. So I went to the Badlands biome to farm terracotta. Should I just have a terracotta counter here? I would mine terracotta during the days and then dye it during the nights. I didn't have a lot of this, but then again 4,000 is still a decent amount. I had 2 biomes where I would farm this since the first Badlands biome I found was pretty small, and I found a big one not too long ago. Just takes time to get there. When I had all the terracotta needed, I dyed everything and then went back to my smelting spot to start smelting the terracotta into the needed blocks. Also, of course, I'm right under the sheep farm, so I'm still making wool as we speak. While smelting all of this, I was just AFK waiting. There's not much I can do until all of this is done. Once it was done, I put it all into the needed boxes and placed the shulker boxes as my little collection of shulker boxes. I then went to my gold farm to once again mend my pickaxes because I would need them again for what I'm planning to do next. Which of course is finally to make the sheep farm bigger, to a point where I never have to change it again. Unless Mojang of course decides to add more colors to this game. Again, I'm very sorry for not having the replays anymore, it's just all a mess. Anyways, I first made the colors that I would need in this project so that when I was building the rest, the needed items were already being made. Anyway, yeah, I started collecting the wool since there was quite a lot of it. I was pretty close to having all the needed wool for this project, and since that's the only thing I really needed, that would also mean that I'm getting very close to finally being able to start working on the ends. Okay, I was also by the way mending my tools at my gold farm once again. I don't need to use my pickaxes anytime soon, but I still think it's nice to have them looking brand new. Okay, next up was light blue concrete. This was of course the same process as the blue concrete. During the days I would farm sand and gravel, and during the nights I would make the concrete. Of course I had a lot of blue flowers and bones from the bone farm, so making light blue dye is no big deal, and I was pretty fast done with this. And we're back to being AFK. I was very close to being done with this, so instead of being AFK for 2 days, I went AFK for 4 days, hoping that would be enough. Sadly it wasn't, but it was close. Okay, so of course the light blue concrete powder needed to be light blue concrete, so I was also again a few days just converting it. I think this is the fastest way of doing it without having to build a crazy farm for it. Doing this didn't take as long as the blue concrete did, but then again I also had a lot more blue concrete than light blue concrete. Next I was making space because I was finally gonna get a better auto smelter. Also of course I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but most of the farms that I built are from a tutorial, so links to these farms will all be in the description. Anyways, now that I have space, I was farming a few needed items, mainly redstone because I ran out of all the redstone I would need. Mainly redstone because I ran out of all my redstone and I would need a decent amount for this. I actually really enjoyed mining ores. Kinda makes me think about the start of a world where you have to mine all your ores. Yeah, the good days. Anyways, after a while I had more than enough redstone. Of course Fortune 3 really helps a lot with this. So now that I have all the redstone, I was making all the needed items such as pistons, lots of hoppers. I actually ran out of iron. It's a good thing I have some more ore still laying around, so I mined that and smelted it so I can make all the hoppers. I was definitely running low on iron after this farm. My iron farm also didn't have much iron in it. To be fair, it hasn't been working for a while, which is why sometimes I just need to let my villagers sleep in this farm, but I keep forgetting it. Now that I have all the items, it was finally time to start building the smelter. Okay, so now that the smelter is made, I needed to fill the furnaces and hoppers with coal. I already had quite a lot of coal laying around, but turns out it was nowhere near enough. So yeah, I went to my wooden skeleton farm to farm coal. I was there for a while. I don't know how much shulker boxes full with coal I had, but when I left I'm guessing it was like 3 or 4. But yeah, now that I have a lot of coal, I went back to the smelter and started filling the remaining furnaces and hoppers. And I still had quite a lot of coal left, so I threw that in the chest that's connected to the hopper carts that refill the furnaces with coal. I built a smelter for a reason, by the way. I needed colored glass, and waiting for all that glass to be smelted was gonna take a while. Also, being this far in my hardcore world, I think in general it was time to build a super smelter like this, since this won't be the last time I use this smelter. I farmed sand during the days and I was at the smelter during the night. Of course, the smelter was built right next to the sheep farm, so I was also gaining more wool. These 15 days are a bit chaotic, so I can explain how it went. Of course, I gathered sand during the days, and during the nights I was collecting wool and smelting the sand, plus dyeing the glass in the colors that I needed it in. And yeah, I did that until I had all the needed glass. Next I was AFK for 4 days. This time it would be the last time AFK here. For this project at least. I only needed to fill 4 more boxes, so yeah, this time I was really done. Okay, last thing I really needed now was wool. Mainly light grey wool and a little bit of light blue carpet. The rest I already have. So again, these days are a bit chaotic to edit because I was all over the place. I made sure that I was working a lot around the wool farm, so I keep making more and more wool. So first I made a wool storage at the farm because the other wool chests were getting very full and I had no space in my castle for all this wool. I gave each color wool 6 double chests, so that should definitely be enough for now. And then of course was running around collecting wool and placing it in the storage, which I checked took me 2 days. Now the wool collecting area wasn't as nice looking as the farm itself, so I gave this place a new floor. It was needed. Another thing I did was killing squids for black dye. I then used black and white to make light grey and dyed the white wool with it. I did this all before the 1.20 update, so yeah, at this moment in time I was only able to dye white wool. Trust me, if I did this project in the 1.20 update, I would have been done already. Another thing I did was giving the houses that were above the wool farm some interior. I didn't want to just stay AFK, so yeah, I had to find something to do, which in this case was just random stuff. And come to think of it, some of these houses are here since day 20 and I still didn't give them interior. Like, what am I doing? And lastly, I did the roof of this place because I forgot that when I was doing the floor. And by the time that I had all the light grey wool, it was day 1292. I did say I wanted to finish the gathering of this project before day 1300, and I did. Next thing I did was being AFK at my gunpowder farm. Also yes, in these clips I built myself in because I wasn't present at my PC, and well, I would be very stressed out if I didn't build myself in. I gathered the gunpowder for TNT, by the way. You will see in a bit why. Psych, you will see it now. Let's not waste time. I was farming some netherite. I was planning on breaking the obsidian pillars, and yeah, I didn't want to keep leaving the end and flying back to just mend my pickaxes, so I was planning on making like 5 extra netherite pickaxes. Now I don't have any more netherite left, so of course I was gonna have to blow up the nether. First time I went there I got 16 pieces, and the second time I got 24 pieces. If you wonder why I always try to end up with perfect numbers, it's because I have OCD, and when it comes to farming netherite, I always want to have the perfect amount so I don't have scraps laying around. So if I would end up on 19 pieces, I will aim for 24, but if I end up on 25, I will aim for 28. Trust me, my mind can be very exhausting. Anyway, I got 40 scraps total, so that means 10 pieces of netherite, which is more than enough. Okay, next few days I did a lot of just walking around. I was just enchanting some new pickaxes and combined 2 dia pickaxes with each other. I don't know why I did that. Okay. Next I was trading paper for emeralds until I had enough emeralds to buy all the needed books. Some pickaxes were still missing a few enchants, and of course all of them were missing mending. When I got all the books, I did the first few enchants on the pickaxes until I ran out of levels. To get more levels, I went to my gold farm. While I was there, I was also mending my tools. And then once all my tools were looking shiny, I was just killing mobs for XP. When I had enough XP, I went back to enchanting. I also made an extra set of armor with blast protection, mending, and unbreaking 3, and of course I ran out of levels again, so I had to once again go back to the gold farm for more levels. It took me quite a while to get all of these items done with all the enchants, but once they all got enchanted, I made all of them netherite. Also, I named my pickaxes backup pickaxes because I'm just boring like that. Nah, I just don't want to mix up these extra pickaxes with my original set, even though I already broke 2 pickaxes. Yeah, we're gonna ignore that one. Also, I went to the gunpowder farm for more gunpowder, but this time for rockets. Of course, when I'm working in the end, I don't want to run out of rockets and then slowly glide into the void and then die like that. Yeah, nah, I would uninstall the game if that happened to me. So, since I have been a lot about my wither skeleton farm for coal and bones, I had a lot of wither skeleton skulls, like more than 3 stacks. So, before I started working on transforming the ends, I wanted to kill the wither, like 64 times. Why not, right? Okay, now that I have all the stars, it was time to blow up the bedrock with this weird glitch. If it works, it works. Now blowing up the bedrock didn't take as much time as you see here on the day counter, but this was another part where I lost all the footage of the next replay, so I figured to just make a big jump to the next thing I did, which was gathering items for TNT flying machines. I first wanted to mine away this entire end island, but after mining the first 2 obsidian pillars, I realized that I would be short on time to do so. Also, I'm crazy but not crazy enough to mine all of that. My brains were already fried enough after these 2 obsidian pillars. I had all the items for the flying machines, I was just missing one thing. I traveled a little bit for that. I then went back to the end to build and test the flying machines. I was mainly trying to figure out how high up they needed to be and how far apart from each other they needed to be. And yeah, it kind of went wrong. A few times actually. I did eventually figure it out though. But I don't have enough slime balls for slime blocks, but that's a worry for later. The first machine went really well, but the moment I built more next to each other, it kinda went wrong, but hey, I'm slowly learning. Anyways, this was not something I needed to do right now since I have enough obsidian to mine, so I went back to mining, and this time I do have a replay. Okay, little break to once again gather this one item that I was missing for the flying machines. I was gonna try another time with the flying machines now that I also was missing slime balls. I had nowhere near enough for this, so I was trying to farm slime for a few days, but I had no luck. I found in the cave one big slime that gave me some slime balls, and I also tried my luck in the swamp, but I didn't really have much luck there either. It was at least something, I guess. I had enough for 3 or 4 flying machines, so there should be enough for now, so I went back to the end, building again the flying machines. Building again the flying machines, I feel like at some point I don't need a tutorial anymore for these things. First I struggled trying to understand how this works, and now I just build it easy peasy. Definitely a good thing, because I don't like tapping out every 10 seconds. Anyway, I again tested the machines and it went wrong again. Yeah, if I'm right, it's because this time there was too much TNT in one place on the ground, and then when it explodes, all the other TNTs were flying all over the place, and so it hit 2 of the machines, and yeah. I'm keeping that in mind for when I build the next few. Anyways, back to breaking obsidian pillars, I only have 2 more left. I didn't have slime balls as I have mentioned before, so it was time for another farm. I already had all the items, it just needed to be crafted, so it only took me 1 day to get all the stuff ready. I have a swamp biome nearby, so this shouldn't take too long to build. Now that the farm is done, I was AFK for 2 days. I needed enough slime for 25 flying machines, so I was gonna have to AFK here for a little while. I also needed some more items like pistons, trapdoors, lots of minecarts. I also needed gunpowder for TNT, so I was AFK for a little bit until I had enough for 25. I was still missing some blocks, so I went AFK until I had enough. I also took some dirt with me as a building block, but to be fair, I don't think I ever used it. Okay, anyway, before I start building the TNT flying machines, I mined some endstone. I think 3 or 4 boxes full, just in case I ever need endstone for a build, but I doubt that, but you know, just to be sure. Anyways, I started building the flying machines and blowing up the ends, and also yes, I'm using replay footage that I used before. The TNT flying machines did that job really well. Of course there is some endstone left, so I spent a few days on flying around from block to block, just removing the extra endstone. At first I was really scared to do this, but later on I was starting to enjoy it. The last big piece was a bit annoying to get rid of because there were just endermans everywhere. Once everything was gone, I made a little purple glass platform around the portal. This is gonna be the place where I will store all my shulker boxes. I went to my gold farm to mend my tools and to elytra. I want it all to have full durability. I would feel a lot safer if I'm flying around above a void with a elytra that doesn't look like it's about to break. Before I could start building, I had to move all my shulker boxes to the end, which took me 2 days because, well, it's a lot, like 200 shulker boxes. It's a shame that you can't put shulker boxes in another shulker box, but oh well, it is what it is. Once I had all my shulker boxes in the end, I started building.
You and me stuck on the ocean now, nothing but waves and they're spilling in. I wanna dry up but you just keep on going, don't you? I don't even know how we got here, all my reasoning have disappeared. I wanna bury the hatchet and find the way back to our home, our home, our home. We don't have to drift inside this dome. I will not let us fade away. It's not a price I wanna pay, and it's not too late. No, we lost our purpose, chasing all that surplus. You were all that I need. I feel that we can break free. We can still go back there to a place with no cares. We can turn this ship around. We can turn this ship around all the way back home. Chasing all that we do not care. Chasing all that we don't have. Chasing all that we do not care. We do not all the way back home. Chasing all that we do not care. Chasing all that we don't have. Chasing all that we do not care. We do not. Yesterday we could be ourselves. Didn't have much, but nevertheless we were true to each other. But now we don't even bother. I remember you being hopeful, but the tall waves have worn us down, and slowly we are drowning. That's why you need to come with me, with me, with me. Turn around 180 degrees and cross the sea. I will not let us fade away. It's not a price I wanna pay, and it's not too late. No, we lost our purpose, chasing all that surplus. You were all that I need. I feel that we can break free. We can still go back there to a place with no cares. We can turn this ship around. We can turn this ship around all the way back home. Chasing all that we do not care. Chasing all that we don't have. Chasing all that we do not care. We do not all the way back home. Chasing all that we do not care. Chasing all that we don't have. Chasing all that we do not care. We do not. I always knew we could do so many great things. So believe in me, I believe in you, and I just feel that this will be an
So the end build is finally done, and to be fair, I went straight into my next project, which was transforming the spruce biome next to my village. But for that I of course had to first get rid of the trees. I finished burning down the forest on exactly day 1600, which is really nice. I didn't feel like wasting more time, so I took some shulker boxes with stone bricks, stone, andesite and cobblestone and started building the first part of the harbor. Okay, so of course the harbor was missing some houses, but for that I needed to farm a bit. I mainly needed a lot of mangrove wood. Now I first had to go back to the mangrove biome. I went there before pretty much at the start of this video, but I only went there for the frogs, and the only sapling that I took with me, I had no idea in what chest it was and I couldn't find it. The frames of the clips where I got all the saplings are really weird, really annoying frame drops, so I hope it's not too obvious. I made sure that I had enough saplings and I went on my way home again. Once I was back, I started farming mangrove wood. I like the way the wood looks, but if I have to be honest, it's really annoying to farm, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one that thinks that. Once I had enough mangrove wood, I started farming birch wood. My first time using birch wood in builds and actually liking it. To be fair, stripped birch wood just looks a lot better than the logs itself. Birch was pretty easy to farm. Next I needed oak wood. Same as birch wood, pretty easy to farm. I don't think I need a lot of oak, but I can't remember. I also had to go to the nether to mend my tools again. Once my tools were looking brand new again, I went to mine a little bit of andesite. I also needed andesite, and it was the only stone type that I was pretty low on, so yeah. I mined a few stacks and then started building the houses.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. Our bodies move to the groove and the light that flickers. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. Get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter. Feel the air get thinner. Standing in a blurry green. No one else can see us. Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away.
Right, so I spent 2 days killing cows for leather. I wanted to do the interiors of the houses in the harbor, but for that I wanted to use bookshelves, but I don't have bookshelves, so I had to kill cows for leather to make books and so on. Once again, looting 3 is really nice with farming things like this. I had quite a lot of bookshelves, so I'll see how far I'll get with building the interior. I spent 6 days on doing the interior of the houses in the harbor. Of course I told myself to stop when I ran out of bookshelves. I used to say I hate making interior for houses, but that's not fully true. I enjoy it if it's small rooms, because you have to do less and you can make it really cozy. Anyways, yeah, at some point I ran out of bookshelves, so I decided to stop for now. So I finally updated my world to 1.20, and so I think it's time to start looking for some new things. I went on a little adventure towards new chunks. I tried to get armor trims, cherry wood and sniffer eggs. I first found a cherry growth biome, so that was nice. I made sure to get a few saplings and of course some wood, and I also took some of the pink flowers from the ground. I feel like these flowers can be very useful soon. I then later found a lukewarm ocean with some ruins. I had this perfect spot that was mainly above water. I wanted to get at least 2 sniffer eggs. I needed a sniffer for those 2 new flowers. I wanted to use those flowers in the biome I'm building, so yeah. I got the first sniffer egg pretty fast, and shortly after I got the second one, so that's pretty nice. On to the next thing, I went to the desert temple to try out that small dig site that's in the temple. I got mainly pottery shards and some junk. I also of course looted the temple and got a golden apple from it. Still pretty nice though. I found a jungle biome and also a new structure. If I'm right, it's called the Trail Ruins. I was only interested in this place for the armor trims. I wanted to use the armor trim from here, so yeah. I've been here for a while. I got a few pottery shards. I also got a new music disc, and if I'm right, I got all the trims that you can possibly get from here. I also found the armor trim from the jungle temple, and I also got some armor trims from a shipwreck. I did this on stream, so yeah, sorry, there's no footage of that anymore. Anyways, I went home and made more armor trims. I first wanted to shape a armor trim, so I first made more of that, but then later I was like, nah. So I went on a different one, which was the razor one. Of course I made more of that and then put it on my armor. I also used a fancy texture pack that made the armor trims glow. Definitely worth getting. I'll put a link in the description. Anyways, yeah, it was time to start working on the biome. I'll try to show you as less as possible since this is kinda spoilers for a upcoming video.
The sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow. Your will is my law, I'ma let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. I'll take you to a place we can see it all. Step off the edge, I can break your fall. Your will is my law, I'ma let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. When you fall down, I'll get you back up again. The things you try are things that you won't regret. We are kings of the world, and tonight is our playground. We are kings of the world, and anywhere it's homebound. We are kings of the world, and tonight is our playground. We are kings of the world, and anywhere it's homebound. We are kings of the world.
Okay, a little break before I go back to building. Also, I needed a few items, so yeah. Anyways, I needed quartz. Like, not a lot, but still enough. So yeah, I went to the Nether to mine quartz. Once again realized how slow it goes, so back to trading with my villagers for quartz. I'm so happy I got these villagers, just makes my life 10 times easier. Anyways, yeah, I traded a bit. If I ran low on emeralds, I would just trade paper for emeralds and so on. Another thing I needed was vines. I went to the swamp biome to get a few vines from the trees. The last thing I needed were a few end rods, so I went to the end. It still feels crazy going to the end and seeing this amazing build. So yeah, I took some end rods from the end city, and once I had enough I went back home and started building.
We keep on telling lies. That is how we stay alive. So you know that I don't mind about what is wrong and what is right. We keep moving in different rhythms. Still I know what you feel. We keep moving in different rhythms.
Okay, so I went AFK for a few days because I needed more shulker boxes. I needed a lot of spruce leaves. And with a lot, I mean 280,000. You know, if you say it fast, it doesn't feel as much. Anyways, of course, I already had a lot of shulker boxes, but I also needed some for not only the spruce leaves, but also the spruce wood. I spent quite some time on making the shulker boxes and dyeing them blue. In total, I need a little bit over 3 double chests filled with shulker boxes full with spruce leaves. So yeah, I was gonna have to gather for a while. I first struggled a lot with finding the right way to farm this. The way I'm doing it right now was really bad. I didn't get as much leaves and I also wasted a lot of spruce saplings, which isn't a good thing. I just at that time haven't quite figured out what's the right way, but eventually I found a good way. I would just spend day and night farming spruce leaves and of course wood. Obviously, since I keep growing the saplings with bone meal, there is gonna be a point where I run out of bone meal, and I did. Obviously, since I keep growing the saplings with bone meal, there is gonna be a point where I run out of bone meal, and I did. I figured it's a good idea to mend my tools and gather bones at my wither skeleton farm at the same time. Mending goes a lot slower here, but at least it saves me time. Okay, so I found a way to farm wood saplings at the same time without having to spend too much time, which was a wood farm. So I spent a few days on just farming the materials. I pretty much already had everything I needed. I forgot to turn on replay mod when I was taking out this place for the wood farm, so yeah, here you go. I don't know why, but I wanted to have a big staircase. I don't understand myself sometimes, but hey, maybe I can make this place look good eventually, just not now. Anyways, I started building the wood farm now that I have enough space.
We keep on telling lies. That is how we stay alive. So you know that I don't mind about what is wrong and what is right. We keep moving in different rhythms. Still I know what you feel. We keep moving in different rhythms. Two different minds telling lies. That's how we stay alive. At least we try to survive. We're not the ones who hide. Two different minds. Oh, oh, oh. Two different minds. We're not the ones who hide. Two different minds.
You know just what to say to make it all okay.
I tested out the farm and it works really well. I decided to be here for a while to farm wood and spruce saplings. It's a nice farm, but it does cost a lot of bone meal, which is kinda annoying, but it's not that bad, I guess. I spent one entire day at the wither skeleton farm just collecting more bones. I was planning on starting to gather a lot for the next few days, and I did. For the next 61 days, I was just doing the same thing over and over again. I was farming leaves every day and every night most of the time. Then once in a while I had to mend my tools at my gold farm or at my wither skeleton farm. I then would be back for a few days just to farm some more spruce leaves. I then also was often at the wood farm for more saplings since I was starting to run out of it. And then when I had enough saplings I would again go back to farming leaves. At the end of these 61 days I mined 124,000 spruce leaves. Almost halfway there. Next few days I was all over the place. So at least 1,000 days ago I started this project with the ocean monument and I pretty much finished it, but I kinda also didn't. I wanted to make this place into a trading hall, but I never really did, so it was finally time for me to do that. I first had to move all my villagers from the current trading hall to the new one, which took me quite a while. I first moved them one at a time and at some point two at a time. It took me quite a while, yeah. I made this little stone box, and once in a while I would throw some food towards the villagers in there to get more villagers. My goal here was to get all the book enchant traits, of course not curses since I have no use for them. At night I would bring the villagers to their new forever spot, and during the day I was just most of the time trading sticks for emeralds and of course trying to get the right book enchants and buying the books. I also bought bookshelves and lanterns. I did this until I had all the book traits. I also got more stonemasons, toolsmiths, many fletchers and also farmers and clerics. It was time to finally give the last few houses in the harbor some interior. I got enough bookshelves for my trading hall and also lanterns. Man, I'm really starting to enjoy doing this. The houses in my opinion have a really cozy vibe to it. Also it's nice to just have different type of houses, like one is really small and the other one is really big, so it didn't really get boring. Okay, and I'm back at the wood farm, mainly for saplings, but I can't really call this a sapling farm. Can't really say much about this to be fair, it's just me AFK in loud TNT noises. Of course I ran out of bones again, so I had to once again go back to my wither skeleton farm, just farming bones. Before I would go back to farming leaves, I wanted to make sure I had one entire shulker box full with spruce saplings. So I made sure I had a lot of bones before I would go back to being AFK at the wood farm. I got 2 boxes with bones full and my entire inventory, so it's time to go back to my wood farm and farm some more saplings in loud TNT noises. My ears are very happy with me. Anyway, I went to the end to spawn proof the dragon since I kind of forgot to do that back when I was working on the build itself. I took a little break before going back to building. I needed rooted dirt for my next build. Pretty easy to get since next to the swamp that's close to my home I had a lot of these trees with rooted dirt. Anyways, I started working on a new part of my barn.
Keep thinking that I could have done something, but now I'm left with an empty heart. No making amends, no waking up beside you and holding you till we forget it all. How could I know there was no second chances? Like dominoes, my life got really scattered. You couldn't keep the door shut, and now the frostbite's creeping in. 'Cause I've been stone cold since you left me here, so come home. Why won't you reappear? Things that I said came out totally wrong. Can't speak of the truth when it's tainted. I fell into a big black hole. It got me stone cold.
Okay, so while I was building the barn, I already placed 2 sniffer eggs, so that while I'm building, they had time to hatch, and they did. I was mainly AFK at the sniffers waiting for their flower seeds. I also worked a little bit around the barn, like planting grass, but beside that I was mainly just AFK at the sniffers. They look really funny when they start digging for seeds, it's kinda cute. I also spent a few days on cleaning up around my castle. I had everywhere just random shulker boxes filled with junk, so it's really about time to start cleaning that up. I didn't manage to clean up every single box in this castle because, well, I don't have space in my chest for more random stuff. It's really about time to start working on a endgame storage place. I already have something in mind, but that's something for later. Anyways, I started building 2 new bee houses.
You know that I'm the queen of overthinking. It's like we're done before we even started. So if this is the end now, baby, know that I gave it my all. I believe in us, I won't give up on you. I will be holding
Okay, so I have been working a lot around my wool farm and I had to start cleaning up the chest again, since, well, the farm itself was getting pretty full again. It again took me 2 days to just empty every chest and move it to the storage. My storage was also getting quite full as well, so I was gonna have to solve that issue. So the next 2 days I spent on making the storage even bigger, adding another 6 double chests for each color. I don't know why I would need this much wool, but I know a few projects that I'm working on and I have the feeling that I might maybe have to use wool for it. Not sure, but I'd rather not risk throwing it away. I also planted the sniffer seeds and used bone meal on them. Really pretty flowers if you ask me. And I think it will fit perfectly in the biome that I will be building soon. I wanted to build something in the biome already, but I needed a few items. I needed 6 of the pitcher flowers and 4 torch flowers. It would be kinda cool if those flowers glow. I also needed some more glowberries, so I went back to the lush cave to get a few glowberries. Yes, I forgot that you can bone meal glowberries to get more. Brain not braining, I guess. Once I got all the glowberries and other items, I started building.
Hit me like a ton of bricks. Doesn't matter weak or strong. Take your time and do your tricks. All I do is sing along. Yeah, I need you around for brighter light and firmer ground. When you believe in me, love is gonna set me free.
Okay, so I'm done building for now. I went to the gravelly hills biome to farm some more gravel. During the days I would farm gravel and during the nights I'm making coarse dirts. I only really needed gravel since I have more than enough dirt for this. Also, the coarse dirt will be for the path through the biome. I spent one day on farming some more leaves, just thinking about what I can do next. I didn't want to start a big project right before hitting 2000 days, so yeah. At some point I did figure out what I wanted to do. And that is decorating bee houses. But for that I needed more bees, so I went on a little adventure to try and find more beehives. It was raining when I was doing this. If you ask me, that's the best time to take some beehives with bees with you, since they don't come out when it's raining. I found 8 of them, so with that I went back home. I then started decorating the bee houses, using all sorts of flowers. I also placed some gravel. I even used those pink flowers from the cherry grove. I think the spore blossoms give a really nice vibe to the bee house with these particles. So yeah, I think the bees are happy with their new home. Or well, at least I hope they are. Okay, next I was AFK for 2 days for gunpowder. I wanted to make sure that I won't have to AFK for rockets anytime soon. So being AFK for 2 days it is. I got a decent amount of gunpowder, so I should be good for now. Okay, so the last few days I was just farming more leaves. There was nothing else I could really do, so I figured to just farm leaves until day 2000. If I'm right, I finished farming when I hit around 150,000 spruce leaves mined. I was now over halfway done with farming for the leaves, so that's nice. Still not close enough though. Day 2000 was a very normal day. I spent this entire day cleaning up shulker boxes, mainly the ones with obsidian in it. They were here for a while now. I made some extra chests for this obsidian. I don't think I will ever find a use for it, but time will tell. I was just in time done to watch the sun go down. Cheers to another 1000 days, guys.